News and Events COVID-19 on June 11. Note, this is a collaborative video made between Travel for All Fanpage and Knowledge of Coronavirus channel. Please respectfully welcome everyone. The following is the remarkable news most on June 11 as follows. 1. American news. More than 7.3 million cases of the novel coronavirus have been confirmed worldwide, including at least 416,000 deaths, according to Johns Hopkins University. There are now at least 2,464,000 cases of coronavirus in the United States, according to a tally by Johns Hopkins University. At least 112,924 people have died in the country after contracting the virus. The Hispanic community has been disproportionately hurt by the coronavirus pandemic due to their jobs as essential workers and multi-generational living conditions, according to a panel of health experts at Duke University. The Republican National Committee Executive Committee unanimously approved a plan on Wednesday night to significantly scale down the convention proceedings that will take place in Charlotte later this summer and to make no changes to the party's 2016 platform, a party spokesman told CNN. A Black Lives Matter mural begins to take shape on East Pine Street in the so-called Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone on June 10 in Seattle, Washington. Seattle Police Assistant Chief Deanna Millett said they have received reports that a group of protesters set up barricades and some armed individuals running them as checkpoints in the city's East Precinct on Capitol Hill. CNN affiliate KOMO reports that protesters have surrounded the area with barricades and are calling it the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Police left the East Precinct building in the Capitol Hill neighborhood boarded up but unoccupied. Officers are only responding to emergency calls. Trump tweeted that domestic terrorists have taken over Seattle, claiming they are run by radical left Democrats. In another tweet, he said Mayor Durkan and Governor Inslee need to take back their city and that these ugly anarchists must be stooped sick immediately. According to leading epidemiologist Anthony Fauci, the COVID-19 epidemic is far from over in the U.S. In recent days, if the number of new infections has dropped in New York and the Northeast, in many states, the number of new infections has increased, especially with a blockade out, as well as with many demonstrations. Great love taking place everywhere in the United States since the death of Black George Floyd due to police violence. One day after the burial of black victims was killed by white police, the scandal stirs up disgust in the U.S. and around the world. The U.S. Congress considered plans to reform police. The House Judiciary Committee invited a series of witnesses to testify in support of the opposition Democratic Party bill. The first witness is Philip Floyd, George Floyd's younger brother. 2. Update COVID-19 worldwide. Since its inception in Wuhan City, China, in late December 2019, the COVID-19 pandemic has spread to more than 200 countries and territories, with a total of nearly 7.4 million cases and more than 416,000 deaths, including more than 112,000 deaths in the U.S., according to data from Johns Hopkins University. In the past few days, the United States has seen a 36.5% increase in daily COVID-19 infections, contrary to the downward trend in the 10 countries with the highest number of infections so far, according to Fox News. From the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the number of new cases of COVID-19 every day in the United Kingdom, Spain and Iran has decreased by about 20% in recent days. And Italy and Germany have a 38% lower daily number of new infections. In addition, Brazil, which has been considered the new epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic in recent weeks, also recorded new cases of declines of more than 10%, according to Fox News. In the United States, 9 states, including Texas, Arkansas, South Carolina, Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina, Oregon, Florida, and Utah, on 10.6 all recorded new high levels, according to the Washington Post. In particular, Montana, Arkansas, Utah, Arizona, and Texas saw an increase of at least 35% in hospital admissions. Worse times are still ahead. There is ample evidence that community spread is on the rise, said Arizona public health researcher Joe Gerald, who is assisting the Arizona Department of Health in making the COVID-19 forecast. Warning. 3. India news. The number of positive COVID-19 cases in the Indian city of Mumbai surpassed those reported in the Chinese city of Wuhan, the original epicenter of the virus outbreak. 4. China news. China flexes military muscle amid coronavirus pandemic. As the world is distracted by the COVID-19 pandemic, China appears to be making bold military moves on multiple fronts, causing experts to warn of the tension between the U.S. and China. 5. German news. Germany will loosen restrictions on temporary labor on June 10, a government source said Germany next week would ease entry restrictions on temporary employees to slow the spread of COVID-19. German Chancellor Angela Merkel's cabinet has approved Agriculture Minister Julia Klöckner's proposals for seasonal workers from European Union and Schengen countries to enter Germany as of July 16/6 without restrictions. Earlier, Germany had stipulated that up to 80,000 seasonal workers could enter the country due to the pandemic, although less than half of them were hired. As the number of new COVID-19 infections dropped in Germany continued to relax the blockade, farmers wanted to make sure they were ready for the harvest this year. Last year, nearly 300,000 seasonal workers were employed in German agriculture, mostly from Romania and Poland. However, the government agreed that employers would be required to implement hygienic standards. Fixed groups will be formed in the first place to reduce the risk of virus spread, and if a worker becomes ill, the entire group must be isolated. The new rules will be applied until December 31. 6. UK news. Wearing a mask can prevent the second wave of COVID-19 according to a UK study published on June 10. The use of masks across the population could contribute to controlling the COVID-19 pandemic and preventing subsequent outbreaks when combined with a blockade. Through a number of new studies in recent weeks, the World Health Organization, WHO, also recommends that people wear surgical masks in public to try to reduce the spread of disease. 7. Taiwan news. A group of Chinese fighters has just flown into the Taiwan Strait and approached Taiwan shortly, just hours after an American transport plane flew over the island airspace on Tuesday, 9 June. According to SCMP, Taiwan dispatched fighters to warn the People's Liberation Army, PLA, fighters that are crossing the border into the Taiwan Strait, the Ministry of Defense said in a statement. 8. World market news. June 11 market, oil and gold prices continue to rise. Closing the session on June 10, Brent crude oil rose 55 US cents to 41.73 USD/barrel, and West Texas WTI crude oil increased 66 US cents to 39.6 USD/barrel after falling 2% in the beginning of the session. Translate. Gold prices rose nearly 1% to a one-week high after the U.S. Federal Reserve kept its commitment to ease the economic pain from the coronavirus pandemic, boosting demand for bullion as a safe haven asset. Gold for immediate delivery on LVMA increased 0.8% to 1,728.76 USD/ounce, and gold term in August 2020 on New York trading floor decreased slightly to 1,720.7 USD/ounce. The Fed has pledged to continue supporting the economy as policymakers forecast gross domestic product to fall 6.5% this year and the unemployment rate to 9.3% by the end of this year. 9. Vietnam news. The 6 p.m. bulletin on 11 June of the National Steering Committee for Prevention and Control of COVID-19 said that 56 days in Vietnam there were no cases of COVID-19 in the community. There are still 8 patients positive for COVID-19. Regarding the 91 male pilot who is being treated at Choray Hospital, the information from the treatment subcommittee shows that the patient's Health 91 British pilot continues to have more positive changes. So amazing. After 1 week of stopping ECMO, the patient is awake. The memory is still good despite a long coma. Remember the password of the phone, tablet. Hands can perform delicate movements such as pressing the phone keyboard, though however, the patient's legs are still weak and cannot support him yet. Preliminary evaluation showed that patients responded to antibiotics and antifungal. The fever has decreased in the past. The patient's lungs improved greatly, requiring only low concentrations of oxygen, but weak respiratory muscles. Gastrointestinal function. The patient's abdominal discomfort has decreased. The gastrointestinal tract has been tolerated. He can feed 1,000 milliliters of ground soup/day. Renal function has recovered. Good heart and liver function. So far, patients have stopped dialysis for 2 weeks. The patient has now stopped taking an antibiotic because the microbiological result did not reduce gram-positive bacteria. At the same time, still use anticoagulant prophylaxis orally Xarelto. Doctors also perform physical therapy for the patient 2 times/day, adjust electrode and care for ulcer and amputation. Previously, the patient smiled for the first time on the medical staff. On June 4 to June 8, the patient was able to sit up, rocking his legs, and the male patient wrote himself. Go to the ward and manually press the button to adjust the height of the hospital bed. After successful withdrawal of ECMO, the health of infected male pilots continued to proceed smoothly. Doctors are giving patients oxygen with low index, step-by-step practicing detox machine for patients. 10. Latin American news. COVID-19 continued raging in Latin America, with a total of more than 70,000 people died from the beginning of the season, according to official data provided by countries. In Mexico, in the last 24 hours alone, 708 people have died. According to AFP, Mexico is the second Latin American country with 15,357 deaths in total, after Brazil, nearly 40,000 deaths. Mexico also ranks first in the number of people recorded with a new strain of coronavirus in the past 24 hours, more than 4,800 people. Mr. Hugo Lopez Gatell, Vice Minister of Health, in charge of the anti-COVID-19 strategy in Mexico, said that for the last 17 or 18 days, the COVID-19 epidemic had not shown signs of abating. In Brazil, meanwhile, yesterday, Sao Paulo, the nation's economic capital, reopened a portion of its businesses. The tourism capital of Rio de Janeiro has begun to allow the reopening of many shopping malls under certain conditions. Many experts believe that the government was wrong to rush to open businesses when the epidemic was raging. 11. Russian news. Moscow has never recorded such a high number of deaths. According to official data released yesterday, June 10, 2020, with more than 15,000 deaths in May, mortality increased to 60% compared to 2019. According to the explanation of the Russian capital's government, more than 5,000 people die from coronavirus, directly or indirectly. This new statistic is twice as high as the previous report. Our newsletter is now over. Thank you for always watching and supporting our videos. Knowledge of coronavirus, channel and travel for all fanpage respectfully, and see you in the next video.